Hello, welcome to Art with Kendra. Today we are going to be doing a very simple and adorable cat. Yeah, you can see it right here. This is what we're going to be doing today. So let's get started. So I am going to do a circle. I'm going to start with the cat here. Now I'm working on a small surface. Usually, oh, you know what? I got to go over a bit. Start that again. So I am working on a pretty small surface here. I am making holiday cards. I enjoy making holiday cards for friends and family. It's something I like to do, and I feel like it's a little bit more special. So that's going to be the head of our kitty. Now I'm going to drop in a little bit of our body here. I like to make my heads nice and big. So that's going to be the back end. Now we're going to do the front foot. And again, you can see I'm just really simplifying everything quite a bit. And I like to do that. I like to do that with my cartoons. There we go. We can have the chest would be about there. And then I'm going to be drawing a little paw going up, kind of like that. There we go. So the reason this paw is up is because this cat is going to be looking at a holiday ornament. Now, if you have pets or young children, you know that holiday ornaments are pretty darn interesting. Now, we want our ears to line up. So here's the line of our eye, right? We can imagine that. So the curve of our ear would probably be about here. So I'm going to drop in one ear. This is going to be on the far side of the head. And then the other ear is going to be inside the head just a little bit. And that's because we are seeing more of this. It's like a 3/4 angle. So erase that little piece there. Erase this guideline, and we don't really need that. There we go. I'm going to do a little bit of a ear flap there. I might actually just poke this one up a bit more. Make it a little bit more curious of a cat here. There we go. Poke that up a bit more. There we are. And I'm going to add in that little Christmas ball. So I want the Christmas ball to be aligned with the eyes. And I'm working on a small surface, so I need to put this pretty close to the edge here. There we go, something about like that. And I'm going to draw the top of our Christmas ball. This is the little thing where it hangs. And then our hook. Now I'm imagining that this Christmas ball is very reflective. So we would actually see our kitty kind of in here. But the reflection would be a little bit warped. So that part would be small, and then the ear would probably be pretty big. So we're going to go like that. That's probably what that poor little kitty would be looking at. Kind of looks like Yoda. All right, now this needs to be hanging on something. So I'm just going to drop in a couple of branches here. Just really simple ones. Most of that will be determined by the watercolor, so I don't want to go overboard there. Just a couple of little branches. There we go. All right, so that is, oh, we forgot our tail. Have it up, and there we go. Nice happy kitty. Nice big tail. So that is the pencil drawing. So now it's time to erase our lines. I like to fast forward through this part. Now, usually I use a thicker paper than this, so I'm not sure how this is going to go, but we'll see. I'm going to put just a little bit of water down. I'm using a number 10 round brush. And I'm going to kind of work on this one section at a time. Looks like I might have a little bit of a red pigment on this brush from a previous painting, but that's okay. I am going to make my cat gray. So I'm using Payne's Gray. Payne's Gray is, oh, look at how beautifully that went. Payne's Gray is a wonderful color. So if you have it in a really concentrated form, it's almost black. You can see that here. Now this might be a little too concentrated for me. I want my outlines to stand out. So I think what I'm going to do, don't want to waste it. I'm just going to give my brush a quick clean. And then I'm going to pull just a little bit of this pigment out and around just to soften it a little bit. Right now it's feeling a little too aggressive, but I do want this pigment. So yeah, it's a wonderful color. It's probably the color I use the most. As a matter of fact, I'm going to say that with certainty. It is absolutely the color I use the most. I quite enjoy it. So when you're adding watercolor paint to a wet surface like this, you get the paint will pull into the empty spaces. So I am moving it a little bit here, but usually it'll take quite well. Again, this is a new paper for me, so there is a chance that the paper is not moving quite as much as I would like, but it's not bad. Actually, it's pretty good. So I'm going to do the same kind of thing in this space. Now this is a little bit too small for wet on wet. So what I'm going to do is apply my paint to the inside here. So I'm painting in my kitty. There we go. And then I'm going to soften it. So now I'll soften it with water. And I'm not too worried about these details like the eyes and the mouth, because I do plan on, I do plan on adding my ink. So the ink is going to tell quite a bit of our story. While this is drying, we can add a little bit to our tree. Now I'm going to switch to this brush here. This brush, it's a beautiful brush. You can see it's nice and long. It has a really nice point to it. And I think I'm just going to use kind of almost like an olive green here. And again, I don't want to go too aggressive. I'm just going to add a couple of little lines here, add a bit of water, and I'll just kind of almost scribble these in. I can add a little bit more, I think, shadow to them in just a second, but I'm just going to get these started here. Just kind of scribbling in. There we go. Now they're feeling a little bit too bright. So I am going to just go in with some deeper color. I'll add a little bit of brown here, and I'll add a little bit of color into some of these trunk areas. I'm moving fast here because I want the paint to be wet while I'm adding this in. A couple little branches here and there like this, just a few little ones. I don't want it to feel too brown, so I am trying to be a little bit careful. Maybe I'll add a little bit more green in here.
Hey, Mom.
Hey, Alex. What is it, sweetie?
I wanted to tell you that, that you're doing our snowman now.
You want to paint a snowman? Okay, we'll do a snowman really soon, okay? All right, I'm just adding in a few little branches into this as well. They'd probably be in there, just little hints of them. And let's pull this one out a bit more. And I'm just going to go help my daughter, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now everything's dry. I'm back, so I can do this part and this part. Now the ear is a little bit too small, I think, for wet on wet, so I'm just gonna add a little bit here, and then I'll soften it with a clean brush and pull that color out. Here we go. And I think I will try to do wet on wet here. Just not too much water though, just a little bit. Add the water first, and then I'll tap in my color and see if I can't get that nice watercolor movement that I like here. All right, so again, I'm using the Payne's Gray. I'm going to start in the shadow areas here. So we're going to have a cast shadow at the head. And pull that around. There we go. There'll be a shadow on the belly as well, like in here, because that would be the core shadow. There we go. Now it's moving quite a bit here. I'm almost losing my highlights completely. If you lose your highlights, though, you can always bring it back by lifting your color with a clean brush, so that's not a big deal. Actually, kind of a way I like to paint. It gives me a little bit of control. So here we'd have shadow. This would be highlight on that side, and shadow going into highlight. So it does feel like you can see there's a few areas of highlight here, but I am going to clean it up just a little bit. Also going to add just a bit more darkness to this tail. I might add like pull this leg down a bit. I might add even a little like black tip to the tail there. So here I have a really concentrated paint. I don't want that. So I'm going to pull that back a bit. Pull a little bit out from here. Pull a little bit out from the back. There we go. Just a little bit for that highlight. And I am going to add just a nice deep dark color on the tail here. So lots of Payne's Gray. I'm just going to tap it in, let it go down. Maybe I'll do it on the feet too. Let's see here. Nice little black paw, little black paw here. Yeah, that's going to be cute. Little black paw here. Just kind of let the let the water take the paint. Now this must be dry. This isn't moving very well, so what I might do here is add a little bit of water to get that moving. But the tail, you can see how well the tail did. That's just beautiful. So because the paw's not moving, I'm just gonna kind of soften that edge. Soften this one as well, so that should get the paint flowing a little bit. And soften this one. So what probably happened there is that my page dried a bit, and so the paint didn't move like I wanted it to. But that's okay. You can see you can kind of fix that stuff. There, that looks pretty good. I'm also just going to kind of smooth this ear out a bit. There we go. All right, so I think that's pretty darn cute. Yeah, looks good to me. Okay, now I'm going to just add a little bit more texture into this ornament. I don't want to add Payne's Gray, but I don't want to add anything too vibrant. So what I'm going to do is use almost like a lilac here for the pewter. Now, something reflective like an ornament is going to mostly reflect back the colors that you see in your, in your environment. So I'm not going to push this too far. I'm going to add just a little shadow there. There we go. And maybe I'll throw in a little bit of yellow here just to add a bit of warmth. Just a little hint. Actually, that got pretty muddy. I'll try that again. Just going to lift my color. Here we go. Add a little bit of yellow up in there. There we go. Sure, why not? Why not? And I am also going to add some nice concentrated Payne's Gray to the little hangy thing. So I'm just going to use the very tip of my brush. Now, again, this is a number 10 round, but oddly, oops, got a little bit pulled into there, but maybe that's okay. I'm just going to see what happens. When I use just the tip of this brush, I have a surprising amount of control. That is too aggressive. I'm going to have to dial that back a bit. So I ended up, you can see it took off into the wet there, so I'm just going to pick that back up. I could also do this with a paper towel, but I'm going to see how that works. All right. Okay, I'm not loving that yellow in there. I'm just going to add a little bit of this back in. There we go. There we go. Maybe I'll pull a little bit of shadow in as well. Okay, I'm going to leave that. Give this a blow dry, and then we can add in our ink. And the ink is going to help to tell a story. Okay, so now that everything's dry, I'm just going to add a teensy bit of a paw shape in here, because I do think you would see this dark here. So you got to have that in the reflection as well. There we go. Maybe I'll add just a little bit more shade there. A little shadow, just to tell the story of the highlight shadow. Light's coming in this way, so I just want to make that clear. Okay, so I'll have to come back to this ornament at the end because I've now made it wet. So when I'm adding in my ink, I like to use a nice thick pen. So I'm going to be using a graphic 1 today. And then when it comes to the little details, I'll probably use my 05. So these are the 2 pens I'll be using. These are microns. I love microns. Love them. So I've lost a little bit of my pencil, but that's okay. I'm just going to kind of add in pen where I want to. I'm losing my edge there. There we go. Sometimes it's hard to see through my hand. I'm sure that the video shows that as well. There we go. I'll have to add a little bit more paint up there, I think. There we go. So there's the edge. Here's our little paw. A little black part on the paw. Here's our little front paw. Here we go. Here's our back paw. The back paw got a little thicker than I wanted it to with the paint, but that's okay. And there's our belly, back. And finally our tail. Now my graphic 1 pen here is running out of ink, and unfortunately I'm having a lot of trouble finding them, which is too bad. Okay, so now I'm getting into my outlines. Oh dear, someone's crying. I'll have to do this fast. Getting into my outlines on the ball. Even in the Payne's gray area, I still want to give it that outline. And I'll do just a hint. Actually, I'll use my smaller pen for that. I'm going to switch now to my 05. There we go, my 05 for some of my details, like my eyes. There we go, my cute little mouth. What is that? What is that? And I don't want to be too specific with my outlines here, but I will add just a bit. So I'm kind of adding like bits and pieces of outline. Yeah, just a little bit here and there. All right, now I do want to add just a little bit to my tree as well, but I don't want to go overboard. I actually quite enjoy how this tree turned out. I'm just going to add a few little indications of the pines here. Just a few little ones. Again, I want it to match, but I don't want it to be as clean because I really like how the organic kind of feel of this branch ended up going here. So I'm not outlining, I'm just adding a little bit of texture so that it kind of feels like it belongs together. Otherwise it would feel too different, I think. There we go. And just as a final touch here, we're going to be adding in our cast shadow. And I also want to just soften this edge here because I ended up going a little bit too far out with my line. So what I'm going to do is go back in, re-soften that. I can reactivate the paint, which is kind of nice. Maybe I'll add a little bit more just in that space. There we go. And I'm also going to add that Payne's gray down here. Now this looks pretty concentrated, but I will soften it. So this is going to be my cat shadow. Now I'm going to go in and just kind of pull this, soften that shadow so it feels a little bit more faded. Fade that right out there. There we go. Shadows always add a little bit of depth, which is nice. There. All right, well, I think we might be, add a little bit more here. I think we might be done here. Maybe I'll add a little to the nose too. The nose could use a little bit of darkness. Oops. Went a little outside the nose there, but that's okay. A little bit more in there. And pull this out. There we go. Okay, so that should do it. Cute little kitty playing with the ornament. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and for more tutorials, please subscribe. I also teach. You could find me on OutSchool, or you can just reach out, and I can arrange for private lessons. All right, everyone. Thank you again. Bye.